Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. I hope you can hear me. If you guys hear me okay, give me a thumbs up in the chat. I have some background music. As you can tell, I'm not at home. I just want to make sure that you guys are hearing me okay. My daughter told me she doesn't like this view when I'm looking down, but I'm away today, so we have to do what we have to do. But anyway, good morning, good morning, good morning. Again, give me a thumbs up if you're not hearing a lot of background music and you can hear me. Okay, just let me know either you can hear me okay or give me a thumbs up. That'd be very helpful. Today, I'm excited about Marketplace Monday. Mostly excited because as we're talking about this subject on handling real situations at work, I know a lot of times I talk to people about work, and I always look at it from you outward. Never really talk a lot about the manager that's giving you a lot of beef or the job that's not quite where it needs to be. But you know what? Sometimes those are the cases. Most of the time, when people are disgruntled or people are not getting what they want or not being promoted how they want or not getting raises they want or feel overlooked or feel underpaid, I got to be real honest with you. 85% of the time, it's the insecurity within the person. It's the fact that, they're not doing the things they need to do to improve and get better the majority of the time, 90%, 85% of the time. You're at a church and you wonder why the church isn't doing this and the church isn't doing that. The majority of the time, it's not the pastor, it's not the church. The majority of the time, it's you don't understand vision, you don't understand leadership. So I'm just telling you, a lot of times you got to look within. However, I do want to say there are times that you are doing a good job, you are working well, you are a leader, and you are working for people that just aren't there. I'm actually experiencing something like that right now. For the first time in my, maybe the second time in my entire work career, am I experiencing something like that? So I definitely know what it is to work with incompetent people. Remember, just because somebody owns a business doesn't make them competent. That's why so many businesses fail every day. But today I want to talk about the subject why good employees stop caring. And the reason why this is important to listen to, it doesn't matter, well, Pastor, I'm not an employee, I'm an owner. Well, you need to listen as much or even more because this is why your employees sometimes will stop caring. This is for people in the church. You could serve in the church. Why do people in the church stop caring that serve? Why do leaders stop caring, right? Why do workers stop caring? Why do employers or managers stop caring? So it goes all ways. Just hear what's being said. But most employees, people that work for companies or people that serve in churches, you can use this interchangeably. But most of them don't wake up one day and suddenly stop caring. The process is usually very slow, right? They start out motivated, they start out committed, they start out engaged. However, then disappointment, frustration, lack of communication, burnout, um, feeling unappreciated, these things start to slowly wear down the employee. You guys ever heard of any of this? These things, if you have a manager that doesn't have leadership, that doesn't care, or maybe even the leader feels like the leadership doesn't have it right. Sometimes this can lead to, again, disappointment, frustration, lack of communication. So today what we want to talk about is why good employees stop caring and how you can keep it from happening to you, because that's very important. And we need to think over the last several weeks, we've talked about a lot of real life work situations, right? We talked about what to do when your boss doesn't follow through. Remember that one? We talked about what do you do when you feel disrespected at work. We talked about what do you do when you feel overlooked at work. We talked about what do you do and how do you do when it's time to leave. What employees can and can't, or employers can and can't or shouldn't expect from you. And we also talked about how to know, right, if you're being taken advantage of, right? How do you know when you're being taken advantage of? So today we want to talk about exactly what I said, why good employees stop caring. So write this down. Number one, most people stop caring because, or most people stop caring long before they ever quit, is what I should say. People usually quit mentally before they actually come in and give you notice. People usually quit mentally. One of the biggest mistakes leaders make is thinking that employees leave the day they resign. I heard a pastor friend of mine say the other day, now when, if a member comes to him and, they come and say, hey, we prayed and the Lord has let us know it's our time to leave. He doesn't even try to have a counseling session at that point no more. Why? Because they're not coming to you asking for counsel. They're coming to you telling you they've already made up their mind they're leaving. So just pray over and let them go. It's not that he don't love them or you don't love them. It's just you don't try to talk grown people out of decisions they've already made. That's a bad thing. Same with employees. When employees come to you and they give you their 2-week notice, the worst thing most jobs do is they try to keep employees. If somebody comes to me and gives me notice, I never ever try to talk them out of leaving. I ask them, as a matter of fact, what can I do to help them in their transition? How can I make it better for them? Why? Because they've helped. They've done what they've done. I obviously hadn't fired them. So I should respect them. If they want to move on, they need to move on. The truth is, many people leave mentally long before they ever leave physically. And let me tell you something, once they leave mentally, they're gone, right? Why? Because before they ever leave physically, when they leave mentally, what does that look like? They stop sharing ideas. They stop going the extra mile. They stop taking initiative. They believe things will improve, right? They stop believing that. They used to believe things would improve. They stopped believing it, right? One of the studies Gallup did showed that, actually showed consistently that disengagement, employees separating, employees disengaging, normally happens or develops long before they actually quit. So you need to understand that if you're at the point where you're feeling like quitting, you're at the point where you're tired of your job's not giving you the upward mobility that you need. You before you start to quit mentally and before you start to stop caring, you need to go sit down and have a one-on-one with your boss. And you need to talk to them about the things that, when you first got there, why were you happy to get the job? And what can you do to rekindle that? So you need to remember, most resignations are submitted months before the paperwork's ever filled out. They just submit, they resign in their head. Point number two, frustration becomes apathy. Frustration becomes apathy when nothing changes. What is apathy? Apathy is it's emotional flatness, right? Apathy is an absence of being positive or negative. It's just it's a I don't care. It's lack of initiative. It's whatever. I see this in leaders in churches. You just start noticing little things that don't matter to the leader like they used to matter, right? You see that in that leadership. And what we do wrong in church, because we don't want to sit people down or we don't want to be, without a certain ministry, we put up with that. And then that apathy flows through the rest of the team. It's the same in corporate America. You have a leader that's already quit. Now, as people start quitting, that's why it's important to replace people, talk to people, have one-on-ones with people. And if you're one of those people who've quit, in your mind, stop taking, stop taking that company's money. Put a plan in place and just move on. Life is too short. If you're in a church and you're serving or you're leading, and it's time for you to, stop being a leader for a while, that's okay. Just let the pastor know. Stop thinking you can't be replaced. Everybody can be replaced. If Pastor Poe say it this way, if one person leaving can stop the vision from coming to pass, it wasn't of God. You may think that you do everything, but you'll be surprised. A week or two after you go, everything will be right back to being smooth. If it's of God, okay? So always remember that. We need to understand that what most people, when they start getting that apathy, what they struggle with could be things like they stop raising concerns, right? Again, they stop sharing ideas. They stop asking for help, right? These are the things that happen, right? What do? They start really talking more about problems. They start talking more about problems. And you got to understand, you have some people that just can't see vision. They're impatient, or they want to be out front, or they always want to be seen. And when they're not getting that, it has nothing to do with the fact they can't do their job. Because let me tell you something, folks. Take singing in the choir in a church. Singing becomes singing at some point. You have to take the initiative to pray to God and hear from God and allow God to use you, right? It's the same with managing. Managing in a business becomes managing. Leading people becomes leading people. What does that mean? You're having one-on-ones. It means, something I talk to my wife about all the time. Leadership is about coaching, counseling, and correcting. Let me say that again. Leadership is about coaching, counseling, and correcting. And for today's people, I want to put a fourth one in there that I added in recently into my leadership manual. Leadership is about coaching, counseling, correcting, and encouraging. Because these babies today, you got to encourage them. Now, I'm talking about even leaders. We got leaders that are little children. The minute any kind of issue comes up, man, they want to pack their tent up and go home because somebody hurt their feelings. We have people like this all over right now. So we got to constantly be encouraging people, building them up. We have a real shortage right now in our country of people that can take correction. So what does that mean for you? Well, if you're a person that can take correction, if you're a person that can be challenged, if you're a person that doesn't get offended with every little, every time somebody blows on you, you get offended or you stop caring. If you're that person, you're going to become a more valuable employee. Amen. Point number 3, last one for today. Burnout is more than just being tired. But let's understand that burnout isn't. I mean, it becomes physical exhaustion, but it's really an emotional thing. And a lot of times, burnout doesn't even have anything to do with your job. Sometimes you're burnt out at the job because you're burnt out at home. And sometimes you're burnt out at home because you're burnt out within yourself. And sometimes you're burnt out within yourself, not because of God or your church. It's because you're not spending time with God. You're not doing the things you need to do. So you got to be careful with that word burnout. Man, I'm burned out. Because if you ever tell yourself you're burned out, man, you better start really looking deep, right? You got to understand because it's a feeling of exhaustion. It's the feeling that no matter how much you give, no matter how much you try, no matter how much you put in, it never seems to matter. But you need to understand, burnout often shows up as, to the people, you being irritable. It shows up to the people as lack of motivation. It shows up to the people as emotional detachment. So be careful with all those things. There are a lot of health organizations that talk about the phenomenon, they call it, associated with burnout, where people they literally get themselves sick. So understand, burnout typically isn't because of the place that you're at, the person you're married to. Burnout is something within, right? Burnout, again, it isn't about hard work. It's about feeling depleted. So we have to build ourselves back up. And I'm going to tell you, when you're in a work environment that you stop caring, or you're in a work environment that you feel tolerated and not celebrated, or you're in a work environment where you really don't want to go there. A lot of times people are too, I don't want to use the word lazy because I don't think you're lazy, but a lot of people don't want to go through the hassle of finding a new job. Watch this. Not only finding a new job, they don't want to go through the hassle of finding a new career. I got a guy in my church, James Darden. I'll never forget. This guy, man, I was so proud of him, man. He went from, I forgot what he was doing, but what he's doing now, he absolutely wasn't doing before. Nothing like it. And when he made a decision to make a change because he wanted more income, I forgot what he was doing. What was he doing? Oh, he was working for a data company, but he was doing real tedious, arduous, back end data scrubbing work. For those who don't understand that, man, it's very meticulous, tedious. You can get burned out in that real easy. He wasn't burned out though. He just wanted to make more money. He really didn't. He works and he doesn't care, but he wanted to make more money. And I remember, man, he started shooting for the moon. I mean, this guy was going from, he didn't want to go to six figures, man. He wanted to go from zero to 10 in a minute. But man, he kept pressing. And you know what? He didn't get from 0 to 10, but he got to 7. uh, and he got a great job. And it took a lot for him to do what he did. It took him stepping out of his comfort zone. It took him learning something totally new. It even took him, I'm just going to say this, kind of faking a little bit till he made it, till he learned it. So I was really, really proud of him. Some of you don't want to go through that. But if you're burned out, if you're fed up, if you're not having fun, man, maybe you need to do that. So this week, I want you to do this. Let me close. I want you to honestly evaluate yourself. Ask yourself, am I still excited about what I do? Am I still engaged? Am I still growing? Or am I frustrated? Am I drifting? Am I checked out mentally? Ask yourself those questions, because the sooner that you recognize disengagement is the sooner you can do something about it. Don't wait until you're completely depleted, completely burned out before you talk. Whether you're at church, whether you're at a job, talk to your leaders, talk to your pastor, talk to people to see, is there something that you're missing, a way you can rekindle, or is it time that you need to move to another ministry or another job, or just step down altogether for a season, whatever God tells you to do. But you got to be praying about it. Pay attention to warning signs. Pay attention to warning signs. So remember, in the final thought, write this down. People rarely stop caring overnight. It usually is the result of disappointment left unaddressed for too long. People rarely stop caring overnight. It's usually a result of disappointment left unaddressed for too long. Amen. Listen, tomorrow, or not tomorrow, next Monday, we're going to talk about, how do I rebuild my reputation at work? How do I rebuild my reputation at the church? Everyone makes a mistake. Everyone has a bad day. Everyone has a bad season. Everyone experiences setbacks. But what do you do when that happens to you? How do you rebuild? How do you rebuild? How do you reestablish your credit? Very, very important. Listen, I hope you guys have enjoyed today. I have enjoyed being with you. Hope you guys could hear. Until next Monday, or well, actually, until Wednesday, when me and Pastor Franny will be on, Pastor Nick saying, enjoy life.